What is going on, my beautiful people? In today's video, we're going to be talking about fishing organization and how I in particular organize my fishing stuff while I go out on my kayak. And hopefully that will help you guys if you are getting into kayak fishing, or if you've been a kayak fisherman. Hopefully this will help you in some way to stay a little more organized while out on the water. So let's start off by talking about some of the realizations that I've had since I've been kayak fishing, and I've been doing it for a couple years now. The first is you have very limited space on your kayak as far as going to be really easily accessible while you're out there on the water. For me, I have a Bonafide SS127, so really it's that back compartment that I can reach around and grab. I have a milk crate in there that helps to store some stuff, and the easiest things to use in the milk crate box is just a little box like this. So I'll put different lures in this, and then I'll have those just tucked away in the back. For the most part, if you get waterproof these, they float, so you don't have to worry about this falling in, filling up with water and sinking. But like, for example, this one, if it does fall in the water, water is going to get through these cracks, and it can fill up and sink. So that's just one thing to keep in mind when you are getting these plastic boxes. But for me, what I've found that I really like is I actually found this backpack at Walmart when I first started off fishing, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit more about it. I like this backpack because it's very versatile for me. So I do a lot of bank fishing as well as kayak fishing. So the ability to just have what I want to fish for the day, or a well-rounded fishing arsenal that I can grab, throw on my back, either take it and put it in my kayak or take it out to the banks and fish, really helped me out a lot. So if you haven't gotten a backpack or anything like this, I highly recommend it. This sits in the back of my kayak really easily, and it butts up to my milk crate. And it's really easy for me to just reach over, grab my box or grab the whole bag. I can pull it over, get it in front of me, and then get to my stuff and then zip it all back up, make it nice and secure, lean it back over. You can take and tie a string to this handle here. That way if it does fall in the water, you're not going to have to fight to get it back, or even if it starts to sink, grab that string, pull it up towards you, and you're not going to lose all of your lures. So that's one of the big things that I really like about this bag. Another realization that I've had since being a kayak fisherman is there's no way to have all of your lures with you. As a fisherman, we know you might want to throw everything in the kitchen sink at these fish, especially on slow days. But what I would do is I would pick a couple different lures in each of your different categories and take those with you. I wouldn't try to take every color of Zoom trick worm that you have, every crankbait, every anything. I would make sure that I have a wide variety. That way I can use all of those lures to try and catch the fish. And, if you still aren't getting bites, maybe the fish are just not biting that day, and maybe it's just a bad day to be on the water. But what I have at my house is, I have my little fishing man cave with all my different lures kind of hung up and different things. And then I will pack up this box. I have a good bit of stuff, but if there's anything in particular I want after researching the body of water that I go to, I will come and I will grab the lures and I will put them in my bag for that next day of fishing. So it really does depend, and you got to do a little research. Get on Google Maps, see what kind of water is, do some research on the water clarity. If it's rained a lot, it's going to be a little darker than normal, a little more murky. So kind of do your research and understand the body of water before you get to it. That's going to be really helpful in catching those fish. Alright, so let's go ahead and we are going to get into this bag. And what this bag is the Ozark Trail outdoor equipment. I just found it at Walmart, and what drew me to this bag is it's got a couple different pockets, a rod holder sleeve. It's got everything that you could want, and the big selling point for me as well was it has a built-in cooler. Now this cooler isn't going to keep ice for a really long time, but it will keep enough stuff in there that you can go out for the day, take a lunch, take a couple drinks, take a granola bar, throw some ice in there, and it's going to keep it cold for the most part. Now the ice will melt eventually if it's super hot. By the end of the day, you probably will be without ice. But for the most part, this is going to do a pretty good job if you don't want to have to lug around a cooler with you. Also, that cooler storage is very nice. A lot of the times I'll end up throwing extra lures in there. That way I just can take a little bit more stuff. Now, let's start from the top and we'll go towards the bottom and the meat and potatoes of this bag. Right up top, I usually keep some sort of tissue or some sort of wet wipe. I have both of those in my bag right now because, the name of this YouTube channel is When Nature Calls, and, you got to answer when that happens. The next big bag that we have here again is the cooler, which I can use for double storage, or I can use it for my lunch, water, sodas in there, as well as some granola bars. But sandwiches, any kind of lunch is going to fit pretty good right in there, and you can fit a decent amount of ice. Or what I even like to do is throw an ice pack in there. That way I don't have a bunch of water that's floating around. Next up, we have this front pocket right here, which is where I keep a little tray with terminal tackle. So I keep different hooks. I have some weights. I have some Ned rigs. I have shaky heads. I have jig heads. I mean, I have a little bit of everything in this box. So as you can see, I have, these are 3/0 worm hooks. I got some 1/0 offset worm hooks. I have some wacky rig weedless. I have some nails. That way if I wanted to do a Nico rig, some drop shots, some more Nico rig hooks, some swim bait hooks, some drop shot swivels, as well as just regular bullet weights. And then I have some like Tokyo rigs, as well as a jointed swim bait head, some shaky heads, and some Ned rigs. So I have a little bit of everything in here that you could potentially want while out there on the water. Now I don't have a whole lot, and I have to constantly replace these just about after every day on the water, but I have enough to keep me going and keep me fishing every time I go out. Up front in this part is where I keep all my worms. Now they do have some sort of storage here. I don't really use it. I typically will just throw different packs of soft plastics, whatever it is that I'm trying out. And I try to hit a different color variety and different lure structure. So I have some Guggen baits in here, of course. This is the dart, which I haven't used yet. I have some Zoom lizards, some green pumpkin worms, some 10-inch black and blue flake worms, some lunker logs, slim shakes, the mini trench hog, as well as some more lunker logs. So a good variety of different soft plastics is what I'll throw in here. And you can, of course, put more in here than what I have. Those are just, if they're not biting those lures, they're more than likely not biting soft plastics. So that's what I like to put in there. Let's go to this side. On this side, I have another pack of Super Flukes. So these are just kind of a shad with blue flake swim bait. And then I also keep some chartreuse dip. That way, if I want to dip the tail of anything into the chartreuse coloring, I have that as well. And you guys would be surprised how, if you take just a green pumpkin worm and you dip the tail in that, how many more bites you're going to get just from having that little bit of chartreuse. In this pocket right here, I keep a wacky rig tool. That's really all about that fits. You can put a couple different little things in here, but I usually just keep my wacky rig tool there. And lastly, in the meat and potatoes of this bag, I do have 4 little plastic boxes, 2 of which came with the thing, and then 2 of which that I bought individually. So on the top of all of my boxes is where I keep what makes the most sense to me, top water. Now top water is something that I don't really throw a whole lot of. But I have some frogs, some poppers, a prop bait, a whopper plopper, a walking bait. So I have a good variety of little topwater baits in here, and I thoroughly enjoy having that topwater lure if I need it. But I tend to be more of a bottom fisherman. That's where I enjoy to fish. But a good topwater blow up definitely gets everyone excited. So next up, I kind of have the next level of the water column. I have my crankbaits. For crankbaits, I don't use a whole lot of deep diving crankbaits, other than like a lipless crankbait. But as you can see, I have my swim baits, I have a jerk bait, I have some bigger crankbaits that are shallow square bills. I have a good variety here of lipless crankbaits. Those are some of my favorite lures. So just a good variety of different crankbaits that I keep, again, in one of these plastic boxes. And of course you can see that there is a good exchange of color profiles. So I have my darker colors, I have my bluegill colors, I have my shad colors, and then I have my off colors. So the blue and chartreuse, purple and chartreuse, gold, and yellow and chartreuse and black. So I have different color profiles. That way I can try to match that water clarity. Next up, I have chatterbaits and spinnerbaits. So these are what I'm typically going to throw if I'm trying to fish a little bit deeper. I'll throw on a chatterbait. And fish love this lure. I absolutely love this lure. More than likely, I'm going to have a chatterbait tied on over a spinnerbait, but I have a couple of those as well. So that is what I keep in here. And I keep it pretty simple when it comes to spinnerbaits or chatterbaits. So I really... Sorry for that interruption, my dog barked. But I keep it pretty simple when it comes to chatterbaits. So I have my natural color in, this is more of a bluegill with a little bit of purple. I like the natural green pumpkin colors. I like the black and blues. I do have some shad colored chatterbaits, but I don't have a lot of success with shad colored chatterbaits. And then when it comes to spinnerbaits, I really prefer white or white and chartreuse. That's just something that I tend to have a little bit more luck with. I do have a shad color spinnerbait in there, which works pretty good. But for the most part, I'm going to keep it black and blue, green pumpkin, or straight white for spinnerbaits. And my last and probably most used box is my jig box. So I love to bottom fish. I love to try to catch fish with jigs off structure. I like to be in there flipping. I like to get to the structure and catch fish. And I have a plethora of different colors here, most of which are going to be on that natural side. So I have a thick, rattling kind of swim jig here with a swim bait on there that I like to skip up under docks. I have, you know, your green pump or your PB&J kind of color jig for really dark water with a black and blue craw trailer. I have, you know, again, kind of that PB&J color. Then I have a black as well as purple, and in dark water, I don't know what it is, but the black and blue with the little bit of purple, a lot of people don't throw a presentation like this. It'll just be the black and blue. So I found that that little bit of purple, and you can see I've been skipping this up against the rocks pretty heavily, but for whatever reason, fish tear that lure up. And then I do have a strict white kind of swim jig that's also flat on the bottom. This is actually a snakehead jig that I picked up in Florida the last time I was down there, and caught a good many fish on this as well. Really like that lure. I have my typical black and blue. I have just a regular green pumpkin, some more just regular kind of bluegill, green pumpkin and brown, and then, you know, you have your blacks that you need, as well as another PB&J. And then this one right here, this jig is actually really good looking to me. It's brown and orange and football head. It's really heavy, so I don't throw it that often, but I use it for deep water. And I've caught a couple fish on this one, but it's the one lure that I really need to throw a little bit more. That's pretty much it when it comes to my kayak fishing box. I don't keep a whole lot of lures on my kayak because the way I store my kayak, it is kind of in heat. It's not in a weather-controlled building, so I'm afraid that the lures might melt or start sticking together, which is part of the reason I have this organized like I do. This can get hot and the lures are going to be fine. They're not going to melt together or stick together the way the plastics are packaged and everything like that. It keeps that from happening. As far as keeping stuff on the kayak, this is really all that I take. That's because I know what's in there. I know the stuff that's in there works, at least for me. And then if I wanted to go pond fishing, or if I wanted to, you know, kind of get out of my kayak and walk around a bank for a little bit, I can grab this bag, take it with me, and I feel very versatile with it. I really enjoy this backpack. I've used it for 2 years now, and I've thought about getting a couple other backpacks, but I've never really seen one with the cooler in it as well. And being able to have that cooler is really helpful for me, because being out there on the water, you guys know, having a drink is very nice, and being able to throw everything in here and not have to worry about it and it staying cool helps so much. But let me know in the comments below, what are you doing to stay organized while out there on the water? Do you use a backpack like this? Do you have just like a milk crate that you keep different boxes of lures in or anything like that? Let me know. I'm really curious. I'm always willing to try new things and test it out and see if I like it or not. And who knows, I may make a video about it. So appreciate you guys watching, and let's get into the verse of the week. So this morning, my verse of the week is going to be Ephesians 3:17 through 19. That Christ may dwell in your hearts by faith, that ye, being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all saints what it is breadth and length and depth and height, and to know the love of Christ, which passeth knowledge, that ye might be filled with the fullness of God. And like I said, the app that I use also has a little bit of inspiration, so I really enjoy doing that. It's just a King James Bible app. It is only through divine wisdom that we can ever understand truly what it means to be loved by God. Our brains cannot wrap around it. Perhaps that is why it's so incredibly difficult for some people to believe it's true. There is no human equivalent to the love of God. The love of a parent for a child is the only possible comparison, but even that pales when compared to the enormous capacity of God's love. All we can do is to pray for the fullness of God to make us understand. Sometimes God will allow us to catch a glimpse of what that scripture really means. For just a moment, it is as if He unveils the truth power of His love, and we are struck blind by it. Then it's gone. Our flesh is incapable of handling the fullness of God for any length of time. So we go from glory to glory that sustains us until the day that everything is finally and fully revealed. And to a certain extent, I agree with that. I feel like John 3:16 is the ultimate showing of His love, to sacrifice His Son for, I guess, all of His sons and daughters, because we're all children of God. So in Jesus, He did sacrifice His only Son, and in a way Himself, in order for us to be saved and to beat death. But I don't think people understand, and what I feel like this is trying to say is that love was God sacrificing Jesus, and Jesus actually feeling the wrath of God. You know, why have you forsaken me? Why is Jesus feeling that wrath? He felt the punishment. He got the punishment of the absence of God, which is hell. He got that hell torment, and He took that for us. So go through your day. Let somebody know that you love them. You know, try to show that godly love. Show someone what they mean to you, and, you know, make those sacrifices. And do something that solely benefits somebody else and shows that love. That's the challenge for the week. But anyways, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Once again, let me know in the comments below how you organize your fishing tackle. Do you have a fishing tackle room? Do you just use a regular tackle box? Do you use something along the lines of a backpack like this? Let me know. I'd be interested to know. So, hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Sorry for that stutter there. And always remember, when nature calls or God calls, you better answer. Peace.